to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Selectman Schaefer and Selectman Lemire have both been excused for this evening. First on the agenda is the review and approval of consent items. We have the October 28th, 2019 meeting minutes. We have the accounts payable manifest of November 19th, 2019 in the sum of $73,405.56 and November 26th, 2019 in the sum of $1,226,217.41. We have a payroll manifest of November 21st, 2019 in the sum of $57,947.37 and November 27th of 2019 in the sum of $57,820.80. We have 8 land use change tax warrants, 1 tax abatement, 1 intent to cut, and the town clerk reconciliation. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent? Hearing none, I'll accept the motion.
I'll make a motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained? Are there any additional business members would like added?
I don't know where it would fall under, but I have a letter to read here about the women's club. So I don't know where you'd want to put that.
Yeah, we can read that at the end if you like.
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
we'll add that to it. Public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item is the acceptance of unanticipated funds in the sum of $68,205.54. Mr. Brown.
Okay, good. I've asked Kevin Brown, our road agent, to be here this evening as well, because as you know, as I talked to the board at our last meeting, the town received $68,205.54 that came in the form of municipal aid from the state of New Hampshire. It came to this town with no strings attached, so it can be used for any purpose. It can be used to reduce taxes. It can be used to purchase equipment. It could just be accepted as unanticipated funds and lapse at the end of the year and go to the unassigned fund balance. We discussed at our last meeting that in working with Mr. Brown this summer, he had identified that there is a big problem with brush overgrowing our roads, cul-de-sacs. We get some work on the sidewalk. We have call outs in the evening when we have trees that fall down. We're even starting to get some requests from the rec department, the conservation commission. There's a lot of work out there and brush work needed. So Kevin had done some research and he determined that what we wanted to do is kind of get a wood chipper that would be accommodate a size of 9 inches or smaller. So we're only dealing with really what we're talking about here is small diameter type brush and small trees. We're not getting into the tree removal business, but something that's manageable, small enough that he and his small staff can get around town and do this work. We thought this might be a good use of these funds, and the balance of the funds we thought would be good to use towards the 2020 paving program. So I talked to the board about this. You were in agreement. You asked that I post it as a public hearing as a requirement because of the dollar amount. Anything over $10,000 is required to have a public hearing. We notified on the website, our social media, posted at town hall, and advertised as a union leader. So that's the background. Mr. Brown's here to answer any of your technical questions and then open it up for the public for input.
Okay. So Kevin, can you just, for the public will know how it will help you from an efficiency standpoint, having the wood chipper?
Well, there's only 2 of us in the department. So whenever we have a tree down, we have brush to cut. It's loading into the back of the truck, taking it down to the dump, then coming back and starting over. And you only get a certain distance, loading it into a truck. So it kind of slows our entire day down. This would just be more efficient. It's a tool of the trade. It's something we should have. It would help us. It's something we have to have, but it would definitely help us speed up our process and help us clean up faster and get more done Like I said, with two guys, we could probably, we could chip end to end up the bike path, into a truck. Because, you put it down. And then we discussed last meeting that, the potential of using the wood chips for, the playgrounds, Dara, Jeff,
Yep.
And then it'd also go into the mulch pile if we're not going to use it for that. But it would just speed up our process, make it a better, a better job.
I'm in concurrence with that thinking, I must say. If the efficiency of having a watch going back and forth that we did in the past this way, and we have a lot of brush in it and you take Brenton Street or any of those streets where it's right out to the side of the road, now it's straight up. You got to go in and then just wing it out. This machine, you're taking it, you're just driving down the road, cutting, chipping. It's like going somewhere. You're doing a process, and it's a little more efficient with just two guys.
Right.
Has to be.
Now, and like Troy said, we're not looking for a 12 or a 15-inch one. We're not looking for
No, small one. You get.
we're looking for one for branches and
Yeah.
cutting. We'll still take the logs out if a tree goes down, by hand or with the machine.
Just
But
put it on
this
the
is-
side of the road, free wood.
Believe it or not, people do take it, but it would just be more efficient. And we stayed within the $25,000 range. The 9-inch, I got quotes from Vermeer, from Moorbach, and from Brush Bandit. And the three largest brands out there, and it ranges from 31,000 down to 24,100. So we're right there in that price range where we want. It's a smaller machine, 2,500 pounds, can tow with any of our vehicles. You'll need a special licensing, so it would fit in perfect.
Okay, great. Any other comments or questions?
Which one are you hoping to go with?
Well, right now it is between the Mobark and the Vermeer, Ford and Chevy.
And the cost?
You know what I mean? Ford and Chevy.
What's the cost of them?
One's the Vermeer is 24,167, and the Mobark is 25,100. So they're within $900, $800 of each other. And you can get options, but these are basic on the lot models with everything that we need.
So just,
In my point of
Put it
view,
up for
working
public
here
notice.
with the town.
Yeah.
Over the years, we used the prisoners to cut the brush at the rec fields and stuff like that. This would have saved a lot of time for these guys because we hauled it out. Okay, truckload after truckload after truckload. This would have saved a lot of time. We could have done more efficient. Because the rec fields, you take Dara, that's going to need a lot more brush clearing. Okay, up there. And we try not to do conservation land.
They like the trees and branches, unless it's blocking the path.
I had to bring that up.
Yeah.
They may want to pass someday.
All right, at this point, we'll open it up to public comment and public input. If there's any members of the public that'd like to come forth and give comment or input, please do so. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, I'm Nicole, 40 at 85 Page Road. So as Troy had mentioned, there was no strings attached with this particular money. And one of the options could have been to offset taxes. I know some people in town, there was some discussion, why wasn't that a consideration? I'm just wondering if there's any way to give more of a picture of just the process and how you guys go through deciding what to do with, it's unanticipated funds.
Mhm.
So not something we count on. And with this explanation, this makes perfect sense to me for a need that we have for the town. But just kind of putting it out there that I think, there are some people who might want to know if that was considered as an option or not. So just kind of putting it out there.
Well, we couldn't use them this year because the DRA already set the
Right.
tax rate, so we couldn't touch them this year. And also the feeling is you are artificially decreasing the tax. So what happens when we don't get the funds after 2021?
Because
So
we did
now all of a
mention-
sudden your tax rate went down. We have to put it in the budget next year, and then it also affects our tax cap. because we have a tax cap of $175,000. Now, when you apply $68,000 to it, now the tax cap has just gone down also. So we'll be playing catch up in order trying to get there.
Yeah.
So when it's not a recurring monies, it's very difficult to put it towards tax relief.
And the odd part about most grants or something like this is not there's a string attached, got to be used. Like the school's getting one for 600,000, whatever it is, but it's for the buildings.
Yeah, for capital.
Okay, for capital.
Investment.
This for a town part, and if there was a string attached like they normally do for equipment or road work, okay, then it's fine. But this one just one of those odd ones that just showed up and say, here. Well, we like to put it to something that we should fix and do something with. And I put it towards the road is a good thing because our roads are suffering a little bit here and there. But I think it's wise that we take this and put it towards this piece of equipment and make the highway department a lot more efficient.
Right.
Okay. And that's what we're looking for is efficiency with two. Okay. That's how I look
think
at
we
it.
did mention possibly giving it back to the people.
We did,
But then
yes.
we,
Yeah.
Artificially
about it.
reducing it's
Right,
going to hurt longer in the long
Yeah.
run.
Right.
Because we're going to get a little bit of a break, and then we're going to have to hit even higher just to get back to the reset spot.
Right.
The cap creates a delicate balance.
Mhm.
That's half the battle.
Especially when it's a fixed value and not a percentage, because as budgets go up, you're still locked into $175,000.
Right.
If it was 3% in lieu of a fixed number, it would constantly be increasing some.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely constraints. Makes a lot of sense to me. I appreciate it.
The pros and cons to everything.
Mhm.
Yes and no's. That's all yes and no.
But I think this is a great plan, and I think we definitely need the roads. That's something that's always going to need more investment in the town. And
I do notice some, if you drive down, if you go to pull off, the whole side's going to get scratched because of the leaves. The sticks are sticking out in the right of way now. There's a lot of that going on. That's all.
definitely
Okay.
makes sense to me. Thank you, guys.
Got to
I
take care of
appreciate it.
72 miles of roads.
Thank
With
you.
two people.
Thank you, Nikki. I appreciate it.
thanks for coming, Nikki.
Thank you.
We'll see you next Thursday.
I never leave.
Are there any other members of the public that would like to speak? Hearing none, we'll close public input. Done. So next item on the agenda is, we're going to go out of order a little bit here, is the alternate Conservation Commissioner Diane Plansky for a term ending March 31st, 2022. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Dogs are allowed in the building.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, I should have brought a couple. Make you all smile.
So if you state your name, address, and tell us why you'd like to be part of the Conservation Committee.
Diane Plansky, 144 Talent Road in Litchfield. And I have a great interest in the outside. I spend a lot of time on the trails, a lot of time outside. And I wanted to get more involved with the town, so I figured I would pick something I'm really legitimately interested in. I've spent a lot of time talking to Joan about how things go in and out of current use and buying land to try and keep Litchfield looking the way as close to good as we can, as far as not just becoming Hudson. So this was something that's near and dear to my heart, and so this is what I picked.
That's great. Thank you. I think you'd be fantastic at it.
Thank you.
Any questions or
Oh,
comments?
Did you get a stick for your Facebook posts? So get a little
I
hot?
did. I
Okay,
got
good. I wanna make
I
sure
got
get
this
that
thing
clear.
it's called a flow meter and whatever. Peter bought it
I
for
want to
me.
make sure because your arm is really tight. But
I know I'm
okay.
it's short too.
Okay, because I know
See
you're
all
going
my
to.
wrinkles.
I'm just going to say you're going to spend some time in the woods looking at stuff and showing us. That's why.
Yeah, I love to spend time in the woods.
I
So
think it's a great choice.
thank you.
We'll go with that, Diane.
Okay. With that, do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion for Diane.
Yeah, I'll even let you read it.
Oh, you want? Wait a second, guys. You guys, I make a motion that we support Diane Pulaski as a Conservation Commission alternative member with the terms to expire on March 31st, 2022.
So we have a motion,
I'll second it.
and we have a second. So we have a motion by Mr. Lynch, second by Mr. Leary. All those in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained, motion carries 300.
Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Diane.
I apologize for
Appreciate it.
not,
Thank you.
for not touching that key.
Troy, going back, do we have to formally accept
Um,
the monies?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we probably should, shouldn't we?
Yes.
We have to vote to
I
accept
was
it.
gonna say,
Is there,
okay, Bobby, it's your
public
turn.
hearing?
Did you put it in here?
I did have,
It's at the bottom of my tree there. Yeah, it's right here.
There it is, right there.
Yes. All right, let's just go back to the public hearing part. We need to have a motion to accept the funds.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion. I move to use the 2019 municipal aid for the purpose of purchasing a wood/brush chipper at an estimated cost of $25,000 and encumber the balance for 2020 paving projects.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry,
Second,
second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor? Aye.
aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 300. The next item on the agenda is the acceptance of unanticipated funds in the sum of $1,645 for fire equipment. Mr. Brown.
yeah, so this is, so just a little different than the action you just had, where this is a smaller amount. This is a direct grant for a specific purpose. No public hearings required because the amount is under $10,000, but it is required that we list the dollar amount on the agenda and publicly state it for the record. This was a grant from the forestry department directly for forest fighting equipment. It's hose reel, and the backpacks that the firemen use when they go out and fight brush fires. It's 50-50, so the town financially matches the grant.
Okay.
And we'd just be using the operating budget in our equipment line to meet our obligation.
Okay,
So nothing on the taxpayers.
No, it would be using the existing
Okay.
budget, so.
Existing
They have
budget
been
numbers.
taxed for that money.
Yes.
There's no additional
No
tax.
additional.
Yeah, no additional tax. Okay.
Any other discussion?
nope.
Motion?
Go ahead, Bob, it's your turn again.
All right, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chairman. I move to accept $1,645 from New Hampshire Forest Protection Bureau for the purchase of forestry fire equipment, and understanding the grant requires town financial match in the amount of $1,645.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry,
I'll second the motion with the understanding that the match is coming out of the existing operating budget from the fire department.
we have a second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 300.
Nice job by the fire department finding these grants, too.
That's
They
great.
found
They've
a
done a
few
really
of
good
them.
job at getting grants.
Yeah.
Next item is the 2020 proposed road projects. Kevin Brown, road agent.
Not gonna talk
He's
about,
back.
you're gonna talk about stumps?
Snow this year.
Mr. Brown,
You only-
either one.
Well, I'll go ahead. I'll start and then, so really this list of roads is something that it's, we have a 5-year plan that I've worked with the prior road agent. We worked on developing a 5-year road improvement plan. And this summer we worked with the National Regional Planning Commission and coming up with really an assessment of all of our roadways. And then Kevin Brown, myself, we took the data that we have been collecting over the past year more and try to prioritize street improvements for next year based on the funding that we believe we'll have if everything is passed in March, and some of the unanticipated funds that we talked about this evening. So we wanted to make sure that the board is aware of, what we're proposing as you go into the public hearings and presentations of the budget committee. These are the roads that we're recommending at this point. Things are always subject to change. Things can happen through the winter and priorities can change. And pricing can go up, pricing can go down. So, but as of right now, we're proposing $320,861 worth of work next year. Of that, the offset would be the block grant that we received from the state of New Hampshire, $209,450. The state aid that we just had a public hearing on this evening, we believe that once we purchase the wood chipper, we'll have $43,205 remaining to put towards the 2020 paving program. And then in our proposed operating budget, as right now, we have in the highway department, we have the block grant funding, and then we took the state aid that we're anticipating for 2020, and we increased that block grant line. And we've offset that with a revenue. So that additional money next year would be $68,205. So $320,861 of estimated revenues, and the same for estimated costs. And as you can see right now, looking at the estimates are a lot of reclamation, resurface, but we're going to be meeting with our local vendor, driving over the roads, hopefully. And we don't know if we're going to be doing reclamation. We might be doing a lot of spot reclamation work, a lot of spot milling, but we're carrying the more conservative cost estimate for now.
Okay.
If the treatment plan is different and it's more of a mill and fill and just a 1-inch overlay, then we get to do more miles of road.
Yeah.
So
Worst case.
worst case, yeah. So if anyone, I think if you're at home right now watching, I believe you can see the roads that are listed here. The one thing I want the board to be fully aware of is that we made a big effort last year, stretching the dollars the best we could. And the way we did that was we did a lot of road work where we did a reclamation and we put down like a 2-inch
Binder coat.
2-inch binder course with the understanding that you come back the next year and you do a 1-inch wearing course.
Mhm.
We've gone out and done an assessment of the work that we did with the 2-inch binder. We also talked to our local vendor, and we can go another year and, without putting down that 1-inch wearing course. But we do next year, we'll have to come back and do the 1-inch wearing course on those roads. So the big roads were Page,
Mayflower.
Mayflower.
Yeah.
So next year, this time,
Yep.
we will need to get back there and do the 1-inch wearing course on those roads. Now, Page Road has the ability to leverage road impact fees. So right now, a lot of the houses that are selling the subdivision on Page Road, we're collecting that money, and we'll most likely use 100% of the monies collected from that project on Page Road.
Okay.
It won't fund all the work that's necessary, but a good portion.
Mhm.
My only question, Troy, is the state aid for 2020, the 68,205, is that set in stone or is that a hope?
Well, they from what all the literature we received from the state legislature is that it's, you should budget for that, but you do need to understand that the number could change up or down,
Mhm.
because I think it's actually tied to state, to a school population.
Okay.
From the reading that I've read, so that number could change.
Plus
It
the
won't
mileage.
fluctuate that much.
Okay.
Right.
And
So we know we have money coming in.
yeah, and we also, in the highway budget, we have another line item, which really, with this plan right here, I'm actually excited for Kevin, because for the first time in a couple of years, we have a line item, $25,000 for road maintenance. And that line is really supposed to be for crack sealing, going out and doing some, where you cut out 100 feet by 50 feet, you cut it out,
Patch
remove
it.
it, and you patch it in.
Mhm.
Good
For
patching
a
methods.
permanent patch, right? We haven't been able to do that because we've really been putting the money towards paving. This year with this plan, we'll have 25,000. We want to experiment a little bit with crack sealing. We want to do a lot of spot treatments where, you might be familiar with a section of Albuquerque where, just above
Right,
the
right in
state
front of
forest.
Sawmill, right by Sawmill.
Right by Sawmill
Corner.
Park. The road doesn't need to be paved, but there's a couple bad sections where it's patch, and you just need to cut that out.
About a
Pave it
Pine
with
Crest
nice
by the
berm.
cemetery. It's the same, yeah.
Thank you.
I got a question or a concern. On Albuquerque, where we did the culvert crossing at the south end for Chase Brook, we have a speed bump occurring there right now, where the box culvert is in, but it's settled on both ends of the box culvert, both sides there. You see it? You get a bump.
By Talent?
No. You know where Chase Brook is?
Yeah,
At the south end on Albuquerque.
right.
Okay, when you come up, look at that box culvert in that area in there.
By Blackbird.
That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying. I brought it up because that's repair work. Okay. It's starting to show signs of a speed bump.
Slow down.
So it doesn't require any action. I just wanted to make sure officially we let you know what we're thinking about for 2020.
Appreciate that.
And they'll probably work with Mr. Brunel and get this out on the website and stuff so people understand what we're planning on doing next year.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
I didn't do anything but sit here.
Have a good night. Yep. Thanks for all your work. Next item is Public Safety Communication System Update. John Brunel, IT Director.
Good evening.
Did you fix that? Because we couldn't get it for the budget committee the other night.
You couldn't get it for planning.
It works all the time.
It didn't. It didn't work for the school board either.
Really? Uh-huh.
Are you specializing in certain? No,
I didn't do anything to make it work. I just plugged
She
it in.
was there.
Rob stepped on it.
Not this Rob. Not to throw you under the bus, Mr. Myers, but. School board rep.
So, first, thank you. When I was here a couple weeks back, I introduced the sort of the scope of the project, which is basically to modernize our existing system, which is 20 plus years old. Working with the departments and the communication provider they're working with, we were able to, again, skinny down the budget a little bit more and kind of get it more closer to what we expect it's going to be. Right now, the system that I spoke about a couple weeks back hasn't really changed very much. We've added a few extra things to it to give us some more flexibility, partly trying to address communications failures within the school system. So when we have an event there, police or fire arrive, they could be in the same building, they can't hear each other, right? Things like that.
See each other but can't hear each other.
They could be looking at each other, right? Unless they're yelling, they're not going to hear anything. And by the nature of that, we've been able to utilize that same technology and actually potentially improve or going to improve our DPW communications. And on top of that, it gives us some flexibility to actually extend that kind of communications to our rec department, conservation for events if they wanted to be able to use it for those kind of things. So it gives a little more flexibility. But the costs have come down. And based on the estimates we're having right now, we're looking at, for the infrastructure, $665,000 versus $750. I think we talked about before. We were kind of ballparking. That number is really a not to exceed number. It potentially could come down further as we go and get approval and then start that process with Motorola. There may be options for grants, maybe options for other discounts and buyouts. So that may come down, but that's the number we're kind of comfortable with to go forward. That includes the equipment. In addition, it also includes the construction costs because there are some areas that we have to do site work, put up a tower or two, those kind of things. So those are where the estimates are. Additionally, the only other factor in the cost is this is the infrastructure. What we don't have is what we call the subscribers. Those are the radios that go in the cars or the portables. And the one department that doesn't have any radios or has very old radios is our DPW, where we suffer communications. So we're looking to, as a rough estimate, about $40,000 for those radios. And that's a mixture of both mobile and handhelds. The handhelds would be assigned to certain people, but other ones would be in a pool where people can borrow them for events and stuff like that. So what I've asked for is to have the warrant be a not to exceed $700,000.
Okay.
All right. And as I said, that number is a not to exceed number. It's the best we can get until voters agree that this is a valid project, and then we can go with Motorola with a contract and start negotiating that.
Which is typical for most construction projects, GMP, and
Yeah.
you try to work from there.
So as I said, nothing really has changed in the overall design. We're still looking at basically 4 sites. Colonial Drive, which is the water tank that Pennachuck owns. That's our primary site. That's our primary transmitter, primary location. That's the core of everything. We'll be maintaining the 2 existing sites, which is Morgan Road, which is the Verizon site up off by the 9-hole golf course. Campbell, which is a site that we currently today use for both departments. And then we're adding an additional site, which is the old Town Hall. It's going to replace a pole that's there today, basically. And the reason for doing that is to fill in the coverage for what they call the LMR system, which is the lower power handheld, and which would be leveraged more by the DPW and what we call an all city or an all communications transmission. The benefit there, which is something we haven't totally socialized yet, is that if the school decides they want to be able to jump on the system at no cost to them other than subscribers, they can jump on the system and have school-wide RF communications between them, school buses, and all the different school departments. So janitors can talk to janitors and those kind of things without a whole lot of things going on.
Three
Today,
schools talking to each other.
all at the same time, yep.
With the
And-
bus, which is great. 'Cause
And potentially can link it into the bus too, yeah. So there's a lot of flexibility. There's no real cost to us. We're putting that system in for the DPW because it's a lower cost system versus what we do for public safety. It gives a lot more flexibility, but we can bolt on. We have what we call 4 talk channels or 4 talk groups. We only need 3 unless it's, so we have the 4th one that can be there at any time they want.
Have you talked to the school at all about
about the
this?
antenna going.
So I'm going to the school on the 6th, meet with Dr. Jetty and his staff, and I've heard they're aware of this. I'm certain I've talked about it publicly. We currently have a place today there. The difference is we need a tower, right? So that's the issue. And quite honestly, wherever they will allow us to put it on their property, we'll be fine. It just means construction cost goes up if we get further away from the building and stuff like that. So I'm hoping they have an idea that it can go close to the school and it's not an issue, especially where they can get on that tower too and benefit them.
And it won't cost them
So-
anything.
And yeah, at this point, it's a town-wide infrastructure, and it's just a matter of, we Simon talk with to get on
We'll
it.
get a lot of benefit out of it.
Yeah, I think so. Some folks have asked me, I know Mr. Lynch talked to me earlier today about it too, is there ways to split the system up? There really isn't. If one of the reasons why it took us so long to get to this point was because 2 of the departments were going their own path, and we wanted to bring it together because having one single infrastructure made more sense. So you have, you don't have 2 times the maintenance cost, 2 times the licensing cost, 2 times everything. So this is a better system for the town as all. And this system will be another 20+ year system. It's not, we're not buying it. It's going to be end of life in 10 years. It's meant to be a 20-year system.
So this is new technology.
This is really fairly new technology. Some components are newer than others because like the LMR is a newest system,
Yes.
but it all works together. So
And it's not just all about the technology. I mean, it's the towers are there to eliminate the dead spots and the non-coverage areas.
yeah, so we wanted to make sure we had a town-wide coverage, right? So this is just a picture of sort of the UHF side of it, but basically these are our RF areas. All the green is what we believe are based on all the propagations. That's going to be our total coverage and talk coverage.
Okay.
In the green, you're going to have good coverage, right? So today you get the north end of town, you don't hear anybody. Like right now we had a failure because we had a power outage on Hillcrest. We lost the school site. I got to go there tomorrow and see if we can get it to reset, but it won't reset. So we have some problems with coverage in the south end right now for the PD. So this will also be sort of self-healing because we have these 4 sites. If one goes down, we'll be able to help bridge the gap and fill it up. Yeah.
Now the lighter blue, is that just partial coverage?
The lighter blue.
You got lighter blue and
Oh yeah,
purple?
that's outside of the black is all our town. So that's outside of our town.
Okay.
The black line is the house.
Yeah, this is the representative of our
South
town
Road.
boundary. So
I did call John today and I had questions. The number and like anything else, the people ask, how can we do it? Well, based off what we got now, we got 3 different systems out there. One of the things I liked about it is getting the school involved. because of the way things are in the world today. Okay, and in the school, you cannot use your cell phone, so it's ridiculous. And everybody has a cell phone, but it doesn't work well in there. So, and plus, if you had Verizon, you're in trouble. Okay.
Yeah, and I can't stress the school. Like I said, the school hasn't really seen this plan. This was really focused on the SRO officers that are in the school today. And when we sat down with the departments and talked about, if we were to do the system right, what would we do? The challenge came up of if we respond to the school, whether it's police or fire,
Either one.
in most cases, we have no communications outside of the school. So if we're in the school dealing with something, we can't hear who's responding in, and we can't direct who's responding in because we'll lose total communication. So again, the side benefit is the school, if they're willing to and they want to, at no cost to them, because it's, at the end of the day, it's here, they can hop on.
Why is the school such a dead zone?
The construction of the building itself.
Construction of the building,
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. We're on VHF. It doesn't penetrate all that well. It's low power walkie-talkies that are in the building at the time. So that's predominantly the issue.
If it's a wood frame building, you'll be fine. But it's block and steel.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've been in underground garages in Boston. You get better reception than that school.
I know. It's sad, isn't it?
I mean, it's a black hole.
I mean, there are different there are technologies you can put in to fill that gap in, but it's just cost the same thing.
What
So.
costs associated with that technology?
So, like I said, I keep on bringing the school as a benefit. It's really, that's more of a, we're thinking of them too, but if they choose not to, because there's a cost associated for them, they got to buy handhelds or radios and stuff like that. We're not going to foot the bill. We just have the channels if they want to utilize it.
So if they want to jump on the system, they can.
And what's nice too is that if there's an event, the school can call right up and when they all call and actually talk directly to the police that are responding, and the police can go right in and talk directly to them without any delay.
Safety standpoint, it's
Yeah, it's
unparalleled.
fantastic.
No.
And like I said, I can't stress
I
that
think,
we have a very old system that is, dying.
well, the phone system, we finally get rid of the crank, so we're doing better. My opinion, I think it's a good shot. Let the taxpayers make the decision. I think it's a wise choice. To start.
I think it's something well needed for
Okay.
their safety.
And also the other side of it, we're going to give it as a warrant, yes. But you got 3 different groups out there, 4, when you can consider the school, that have been using. Police is way behind with their walkie-talkies in the service now. They're in tough shape. Okay. Fire, I can't tell you what they got. They just seem to get something all the time. They don't bother me as much. But I think if you got 3 different licensing groups to deal with, this is cost savings in the long run. Getting all into one function. The whole town's done. Troy and I talked today about it, and I was apprehensive, so I called John and asked him some questions, and he highlighted a lot of stuff. He's a tech guy. I put a nail in it. That's all I can tell you. Not one of my strong points.
Just something to note too. So I talk about the infrastructure, which is the stuff we're talking about here, and then there's the subscriber side. Both departments, both police and fire, have invested in the subscriber side. What they haven't been able to invest in is the infrastructure side. So the age of all that infrastructure is about equal. The fire department's transmitter is 20 plus years old. It's sitting in the old fire station. It has to get moved. If we move it as it is today, it's probably going to be about $100,000 just to move it because we got to construct a tower, right? It won't work where it is. It can't stay down there a long time because, as you know, we want to cold storage that building, and there's a generator that is required and so on. But it's important. Like I said, they've been making the investment on sort of the mobiles and the handhelds, but the back end's not working for them. Right?
Okay.
Any other comments or questions?
You covered it well.
Great job, John. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And I'll
Thanks
send you
for
the new
answering my phone
numbers.
call.
What's that? Sorry.
Thanks for answering my phone call.
Well, I returned your phone call. I'm like, why is Kevin Lynch calling me?
Can't be
Known
good.
to happen.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Have a good night.
Yep. Thank you.
Next item, Police Chief O'Brien's retirement, December 21st, 2019. Mr. Brown.
All right, I don't think this
at least for
Probably
yourself.
doesn't come as a surprise to the Board of Selectmen as you've been working, I know, preparing for the day that Chief O'Brien retires as your chief of police. And recently, we received correspondence from Chief O'Brien that he will be retiring effective December 21st, 2019. We were notified last week about this.
24 years of service to the town.
24 years of service to the town, 15 years as the police chief. So,
He's done a great job, built a great department. We've been fortunate to have him.
so this has all kind of happened kind of quickly. We haven't had really a chance to talk about, plans and this and that, but I'm sure, Chairman Weber and I will be talking to the rest of the board about the
There's a nice room
transition
here.
and everything. What's that?
There's a nice room here.
Yes.
Can we sell liquor?
I don't think this requires any motion. This is more just
Informative for the
informative
citizens to.
for the citizens.
I just want to say thanks you, Joe, and also Troy, if you work on the details, if I can help out. Okay,
Yeah.
please call me.
Okay.
He's a good man. He's going to be missed.
He is.
You know,
And as I
since he
said,
came on as a patrolman.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's done a great job. The department is
Yep.
top notch. We have a lot of people from outside towns that want to come to be part of Litchfield because of what he's
He's
built
talked,
over the years.
he's talked to me through my side window once or twice.
When Chief O'Brien came in and talked to me, the thing that, and I'm sure everyone's would be in agreement, he's very, very proud of the fact of the department that he's built,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he
the
is.
staff that he's recruited. He has built a department, is well staffed, well trained, the equipment they have, the best that he can with budget limitations. He's leaving with his head very high.
Yep.
Should.
And a lot of people in public sector don't always get to leave under those circumstances. So he's worked hard, and his efforts are shown every day in this community. So
Here.
So, just we're acknowledging his retirement this evening.
Yes, we are.
Wishing him the best in retirement. Not that he knows what he's going to do yet, but okay. So, segueing from there, we're going to go and talk about the Benjamin Sargent Police Chief contract. Mr. Brown.
all right, the Board of Selectmen, knowing that Mr. O'Brien would be retiring sometime in the very near future, had decided that you wanted to look for the chief's replacement internally before looking outside the organization. And that process went directly to Mr. Benjamin Sargent, our captain. And that conversation went extremely well. The board was very supportive. And as you know, you've been in discussions with Mr. Sargent. We have a contract this evening that Mr. Sargent, our legal staff, and the Board of Selectmen are all in agreement with. And by approving this contract this evening, this would have Mr. Sargent be your police chief on December the 22nd. So chief will resign effective midnight on the 21st. He is actually going to swear Mr. Sargent in, and then we'll have the formal ceremony at our meeting following
On
the
December
22nd. Yeah.
It's also to note that Captain Sargent has been his number one for how many years now?
Yeah, 2 or 3 years
He's
now.
number one. So he's been helping
He's
Chief
come-
O'Brien build the department, run the department. So it's a nice segue to bring
I will say,
Sargent in.
I will say, when Ben came into town, I met him for the first time, I was impressed. Okay, he stopped and talked to the citizens of the town. He wasn't just going here to meetings and going there. He went around and talked to people in town. Everybody said that, which is most people don't get a chance to do that, or he went beyond. Ben started like that. He's always been a people person, and that's half the battle today.
He'll be a fantastic chief,
Yep.
in my opinion.
So what we do? We sit here and say, yay.
So I would just make a motion to approve Mr. Sargent's employment agreement as presented.
Well, I got nothing to read.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Larry,
I'll make a motion to approve Captain Sergeant's contract to become Chief of Police in the town of Litchfield as written.
motion by Mr. Larry,
I second him.
second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 3-0-0.
So once this is officially signed by both parties, I will provide a copy to Mr. Burnell for posting on our website, along with all of our other employment agreements.
It's a great contract for Captain Sergeant and for the town.
And thanks to you and Troy for working on this so hard. I mean, you guys put a lot of time in on this.
Thank you. It was,
Good work.
Thanks.
Captain Sergeant was very, very good to work with in the negotiations. He fair, equitable, understood, the struggles with the town and so forth. And, he got a very good contract.
He's close to home, too.
He is. He could almost be a Litchfield guy down the road a little bit
He
further.
probably mows his backyard in Litchfield. That's how close it is.
Next, we have the purchase order approval of Jeff Lane Baseball Irrigation System in the sum of $11,399.05.
And so this has been awarded by the Rec Commission. They did seek quotes. They received 3 quotes. The last meeting, they reviewed those quotes, made the decision in the best interest of the town. Went with the Natticook Lawn and Landscape Company, which was recently awarded the contract that will be maintaining our fields next year. So real nice fit. Have some ownership, 100% of the system and the maintenance of it.
As part of his lawn had included putting the well pump in at Jeff Lane.
That's right.
So now they put the well pump in, they'll own the irrigation, so we'll have one person to maintain the whole thing. They'll understand the flow, the pressure heads, and so forth.
This is money that's already in the budget.
This is going to be coming from the Recreation Revolving Fund
And some impact fees.
and some impact
Oh,
fees.
yeah.
Okay. It's the fundraising efforts that have gone on throughout the year and a couple of years.
A couple of years, yeah, we just had the
That would
comedy
be
show
coming
the other
from
night
the-
to
from
backfill
the,
some of the
revolving
coffers.
Just a note on this. Bob asked a simple question. If it could be put in here where the funding was coming from, you probably have less of a question. That's all. Just as a general note on the neck on some of these. Because I'm sorry, we're not here during the day while you're running the numbers, We just have to ask you the question.
Well,
Thank you for the answer.
That's why he's here.
No, I was just checking because sometimes the purchase order
You had it
has
broken
the
down.
different accounts that it's coming from. So this one's the 03 account, it looks, which I believe is 100%. It might be 100. It's 100% the revolving.
Revolving, so
fund.
we're not going to
Correct.
use impact.
Revolving.
Because there was
Okay.
still like $3,000 of impact fees left for the construction of Jeff
If
Lane.
it was,
and
it would be
fundraising.
2 accounts on the purchase order if it was coming from multiple accounts. So
Okay.
it is just the revolving.
Just
fund,
the revolving.
100%.
Very good. Thank you.
Another positive to this is the fact that he is a Litchfield resident as well. So he's a taxpayer in the town. So
Yes.
it's nice when you can distribute some of this stuff within the town.
In-house is important. And I'll say that as best you can. In town. Builds a community.
So we can have a motion to accept the PO, please.
I'll make a motion. Okay, I move to approve the purchase order M1934 in the amount of $11,399.05. Okay, as requested by the Litchfield Recreation Commission for the installation of irrigation of the Natticook Lawn and Landscaping at the Justin Bissett Fields.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Larry. Any further discussion?
What's the nickel for? Who does an estimate and puts a
And
nickel
nickel,
on?
I don't know.
The value was
Look, he
higher.
came
gave-
under it.
He gave a 5%
400.
discount for sponsorship signage at the fields.
Oh,
So
that's,
Litchfield Baseball
it's in
Association is
there.
going to pay.
I think he was afraid if he rounded it to 11,400, he could lose the bid.
I'm sitting, I'm reading the number, I go, and 5 cents?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 3-0-0.
I didn't raise my hand, but I did.
The next item, the boat agent agreement. Mr. Brown.
This is easy.
This is an annual agreement the town's been doing for many years. The town clerks requested that Selectmen renew it again this year. It's an agreement between the town of Litchfield and Irwin Marine. They are able to register boats at Irwin Marine, and all the revenues that they collect there, whether they're Litchfield, residents or non-residents, we get to collect a portion of those fees. So again, the contract's been in place for several years. It's worked out really well.
I make a recommendation to approve the motion. To move and authorize the Board of Tax Agents agreement between the town of Litchfield and Irwin Marine, a taxpayer.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
I'll second it.
second by Mr. Larry. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 3-0-0.
Oh, boy.
The next item is street name Firefly Way. Mr. Brown.
Right. As some of you are probably very much aware, the planning board approved a subdivision plan off 124 Hillcrest Road. It's known as Brookfield Acres subdivision plan. And there will be one proposed public road constructed in that subdivision.
Dead end.
It was recommended, it's a cul-de-sac, will be a dead end
Getting cul-de-sac.
cul-de-sac at the end. The subdivision plan and the developers had named the road Firefly Way. That has been reviewed by our public safety employees. And so officially it needs to be accepted by this board so that it can go on and be recorded in the registry of deeds as the official name of the road. If the board has any thoughts of different names or wish to seek, different name, then you're welcome, to request that, and I can go back out and try to collect different names. Obviously the developer wants to get the subdivision plan recorded as quickly as possible, but
So our public safety had no concerns with the naming of the,
they didn't, no. Firefly Way, they reviewed it and had no concerns.
I'm just going to say, it's not Firefly Way, it's Firefly Drive. That's what they're proposing. If it was Firefly Way, if you had to say it in an emergency situation, you'd be stuttering with yourself there a little bit. It's just the name itself, Firefly Way. Okay, it's Firefly Way. Well, what are you saying? It's not clear in an emergency. That's my feeling. Okay.
do we want to change way to drive?
Well, it is
Firefly
Drive.
Drive.
It is Drive. Okay. I recommend Drive, if anything. The other thing, that there is historical on this. There used to be a name of that hill there years ago. Historical Commission is Steve come up with a name with Laurel Hill. That was the name of that knob years ago, historically. So, as a town, I like to see the names of some of the stuff used are historical names to keep everything going historically through the whole thing. A firefly, you only see them in the springtime. Okay. I don't like the word way at all. Okay. It's either a drive or a road.
Well, you took the long way around the barn to get there.
What I like about him,
Normal.
I've been chased around the barn too many times.
I'm okay with drive.
Yeah, drive's fine with
If it
me.
makes
I don't know.
sense.
That's my feeling, guys. That's how I feel about it. I think drive is more Firefly Drive.
Can we poll the audience?
That's Pat. She's hanging on the wall.
All right.
Nikki, Matt, way, drive.
Jen?
a difference? Is it like an official difference?
It's just going to get recorded one way or the other.
Do drive.
That's me. That's how I feel about it. Sometimes
Right.
panic
Tried.
situations. I did 911 in Milford for 19 years. Okay. And they did not go with these names very often because of in an emergency situation with dispatch that they don't skip the name out right. And if you get something that's got too of a zing to it, it doesn't go sometimes. That's
Make your
all.
motion.
Make a motion. Make sure we use drive.
Make a motion, please.
Make a motion to move the name to Post Street for the approved Brookview Acres subdivision lot on Hillcrest, 124 Hillcrest Road to Firefly Drive is what I'm recommending.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Larry. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? All those abstained?
I'm for it.
You didn't vote.
No, I'm sorry.
Let's try this again.
Not again. I'm sorry.
After all that,
Made the motion.
All those opposed? All those abstained?
I'm
Motion
for it.
carries 3-0-0.
Well, I'm just reading something here from Dougie, the firefighter. It says Firefly Drive. Somehow we got way up there. in the big, yeah, I know. But that's from Troy.
Next, we have the
I
draft.
was going with my notes from Joe. So
I know.
Next, we have the draft warrant article. Mr. Brown.
warrant article. Okay. Yeah, up top or Jay, they
Jay.
both will link to the same.
okay.
Just wanted to go through these again, just real quickly. At our next meeting, we will need to vote on these.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because the budget committee will meet that Thursday. So we'll meet Monday, they meet Thursday, and that meeting is specifically for reviewing the town warrant articles.
And they'll be voting on them at that time also.
Yeah, I believe they will. They will be. Yeah.
Okay.
So a lot of these, I still got to put in the dollar amounts, the tax impacts, the operating budget. There's nothing there. You've seen this. We'll populate it with the budget committee's recommendation. And you folks will either support their recommendation or not. I haven't heard any concerns about the budget committee's proposed budget at this point in time. A new article that you've not seen.
But the only change to Article 1 is the town moderator, right? Because
So Article 1, yes, I did add the town moderator. We did recently learn that the town moderator has resigned. The supervisors of the checklist will be making an interim appointment.
Mhm.
And then there'll be a 1-year term.
Okay.
And that will eventually then turn into another 3-year term.
Thank you.
So Article 3 is new. This is the full-time highway employee. We use the same type of language that we did when we've gone forward and asked for a police officer. So this breaks out the cost of what we anticipate the wage to be for the highway employee effective July 1st. So we're only representing 6 months of cost here of wages and health and dental benefits and other payroll taxes. And then we also disclose what the full cost would be in 2021. It's an estimate, things happen, but this is the same thing that we've done for police officers. So
And this speaks back to the warrant article we had last year when it said, should we go higher?
it ties into that, I
Ties
guess
into
you could
that.
say.
Yeah.
Recommended by the
Yeah.
people, yeah.
Yeah,
So
when they recommended.
This
that we
does,
should.
we're looking to create an additional full-time employee position with benefits. And the budget committee, they removed this cost from the operating budget and has seriously asked, the selectmen to put it on as a warrant article.
I mean, from a safety standpoint, we definitely need it to have the third person
Yeah,
there.
I think it's a good thing. And it's very important that if we're going to add people to the town payrolls, that it goes before the people in any department.
Fully agree.
But I think it is needed. We do need the guy.
Definitely need it from
But we
safety.
have to let the
standpoint.
people speak.
And number 4 is the public safety communication system. Obviously, what we heard this evening, and I can change it from 750,000 to 700,000. I work with my leasing company to get, new numbers for the cost. And again, we talked about this the last time I introduced the article that I'm proposing a 5-year lease. again, I don't know if the boards have much thought about this. My whole thought process is that, 5 years from now, there's talks about, a new public safety or a police station. We know that there's a fire engine proposal that I'm sure is going to be coming back next year.
Yeah.
So obviously when you do a 5-year leasing and you don't spread it out over 7, 8, 10 years, you can make the cost less per year. My thought process was just trying to eliminate debt as soon as possible because of some other things happening. So anyhow, that's something it's totally up to the board, a board decision there.
No, I think you did a good job on this.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
5 years is good.
It's the right time frame.
I mean, the public will, you heard Mr. Brunel say this equipment's probably gonna have a life expectancy of another 20 years.
20 years.
So,
That's why I
so
called them. today.
sometimes people will justify, okay, then lease it for 10 years. But I think I just don't think financially it's a wise decision.
Well, 5 years, you'll have it paid off, and then you don't know what's going to happen down the road. Something else might come up. So no, I think you did it
Eliminate
perfect.
debt as quickly as possible.
I don't think this was here. Oh, maybe it was. The last time you saw this, the library is requesting that $5,000 be put into their expendable trust fund for earn time. So I'm not sure if this was there the last time you saw the warrant.
I don't think so.
We have an expendable trust fund for earn time. And in the past, we've had warrant articles where we need to put money into that fund, and just due to the recent union contracts and some other changes we made to the personnel policy, our fund's very healthy right now. So for the first time, I think in a couple of years, we're not proposing to put money in. The library is a much smaller fund, and they've asked, for a $5,000 appropriation. I'll double check, but I do believe I'll double check with NHMA to find out if the selectmen are the ones that make the recommendation here, because it's a library question.
Okay.
I think I've done that in the past. I should have cut my notes. I think the answer came back. It is the Board of Selectmen, not the library trustees.
You're
but-
thinking of the trustees.
yeah. So I'm going to flush that out
Okay.
between now and your next
Follow
meeting.
up on it in
Yeah.
case, wear the hat the right way.
Human Services Health Agencies, that has not changed. $25,000. That's the same, amount that was there last year. However, we're going to be acting on some information later this evening where we may consider lowering that amount, but we'll talk about that later. The committee has met and has a recommendation for appropriations for 2019. And we're a little late in the game, but we'll be looking at coming up with a recommendation for 2020. So that number, between now and end of the year can I don't think it'll go up. It'll most likely go down.
Okay.
General Assistance Expendable Trust Fund. We're looking to establish an expendable trust fund, $10,000. And the whole this is a recommendation of the Budget Committee, just trying to, instead of raising and taxing people for unknown costs associated with general assistance every year, they thought it would be wise to create an expendable trust fund. So that's why this is here before you. Darapon milfoil treatment. I still don't have an estimate on what the cost will be over a 3-year treatment period. They did, the company that we approved the contract, the last meeting, they were at Darapon last Friday. So they've gone out, they've done the assessment. I'll reach out to them, see how quickly they can turn around.
Have you gotten any
the cost
feedback thus
estimate.
far?
No feedback,
No.
but they were able to get out there. So they're out there last Friday. Still waiting for a very good contractor. It promised me an estimate on painting the old town hall. I'll have to reach out to that person and see where we're at.
Who would that be?
I'm wondering myself.
So we'll need to get that populated with a cost. And I know that
It's in the mail.
it's in the mail. And, I know there was some discussion with the board. I'll be better prepared at your next meeting to discuss if, depending on what this cost is, that if we think we could use the unassigned fund balance to accomplish this.
On the painting?
And
or
I
we on
know
the truck?
there was some comments from some members, if we can do it, we should try to do it. So,
Okay.
it's an option.
Mhm.
Because it needs to be done.
It does.
The plow truck purchase, $100,000. That number is still a good number. Kevin Brown's been, pricing things out, and he's very comfortable with that number. And that's being proposed to be purchased with cash from the unassigned fund balance. No
Question
debt.
on that, is that fully equipped? Are we talking, we got the plows here, or is this gonna be just the truck cost?
What's that again?
Is this gonna be just the truck cost?
No, this is
With all
Fully
the
out,
is a-
fully rigged?
this is a fully equipped
Thank you.
truck, but it's not like the plow truck that we bought, the Freightliner. It's
I
gonna be-
understand.
It's like a
I know what size
bigger
it is.
version of a 1-ton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've seen them out there, they're popular.
A
It makes
lot
sense.
of a lot of departments are moving towards them.
Right, they're getting away from the licensing.
And this money we already have, so it's not hitting the people in the pocket. So that's a
Correct.
good thing.
It would be a cash purchase. Yeah.
Yep.
Building Systems Trust Fund, we would be using the unassigned fund balance to replenish the fund with $50,000. I don't think you're going to have much money left in the fund by the end of this year, by the time we finish up Town Hall.
The
and stuff.
HVAC system.
So that's why that's going back in. Technology Communication Expendable Trust Fund, putting the 25 back in that we just used for this, the storage array equipment.
Back
And
to
a
town
non,
hall for a minute, if I could. Yeah, are we still on track for the first week of December, you think, for the heating system for talent?
I got to follow up. I talked with the contractor this weekend because we had some
Yeah.
service stuff, but I didn't get a chance to follow up on where, the
Okay, I was just
equipment
curious
is.
after this weekend.
I know that they promised me they've allotted their time for install. It really is going to be the manufacturer.
Yeah.
The last time we had a setback, it was due to the
Manufacturing.
Shipping.
So, and then the non-binding vote for the community center. We also have a petition article. I haven't added that petition article yet.
Yep.
But
Add that,
for
please.
the
Tax credit.
yeah.
Mhm.
Looks good.
So I think finding out more about, I'll get the refinancing numbers for the communication equipment, getting a quote for painting the old town hall, find out about the library trustees if they are required to put a recommendation. And then just calculating the tax impacts.
And get the
Which
petition in
should
place.
be, and again, we'll need to vote on these at your next meeting.
Yeah, and we need the Darrah Pond stuff by then.
And hopefully we have the Darapon stuff.
Yeah.
by then.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Next, we have Health and Human Service allocations. Mr. Brown.
It's not coming up. Is it coming up on yours?
Yes.
Yeah, I got it. You want to borrow this?
Where's John?
John gave it back to you.
I have
bro.
another way of opening it, but okay, I'm good. No, I'm good. Okay, so we met and remember we had a warrant article in 2019. It was the first time the town has done this. We appropriate $25,000, established a committee to take a more in-depth review of all the requests. The committee has met, they have done that, and they're recommending a total appropriation for 2019 of $15,242. So the programs would be Big Brothers and Big Sisters for $500, Home Health and Hospice, $6,500, St. Joseph's Community Services, which is the Meals on Wheels program, $2,295, Greater Nashua Mental Health Center, $300, and the Lamprey Healthcare, $800, Court-appointed special advocates, which is CASA, $500, the Red Cross, $3,847, and United Way, $500. Total of
You left
$15,242.
the HO bridges out in Harbor Homes.
Yeah, we didn't,
Those are-
Harbor Homes, there was some concerns about some, what their legal status was as of right now.
Mhm.
And the Anne Marie House was more of a request that we just offer donation. And
Mhm.
again, not really sure how well, what the status is of their
Okay.
group. So that was the
Okay.
finding we recommended.
All right.
right, we have any questions on the allocations?
Nope.
If none, could we have a motion, please?
Okay. I'll do it. I recommend that they approve the $15,242.00 from the Health Agency for the Health Agency appropriation as recommended by the Health and Human Service Committee.
We have a motion by Mr. Lynch,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Larry. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstained? Motion carries 300. The next is the administrator report. Mr. Brown.
Just, I don't really have a lot to report, other than I wanted to mention to the board that, and you might be aware of this, there's the state currently right now is out expanding or doing some additional testing. St. Gobain's actually doing the testing through a third-party contractor. Additional testing of PFOA contamination. So outside of the designated area that we've been working in for the past few years, that looks like the testing has expanded.
Done.
And also recently, I became aware of the old or the Hudson landfill down near Mayflower. There is some testing going on down in that area, and I was notified by a resident last week that they went out and paid for their own private test and had had a positive hit of PFOA contamination. It was very low, but it was still exceeded the new state standard. I know that DES, because there's a permit that's in place for that landfill, that they're doing some testing in that area. So a different source, same chemical in a different area of our town is going on. Obviously we're going to have to start to monitor this a little closer to find out what's going on, but I just wanted the board to be aware. I know you've been aware of the expanded testing in the north end of town, but the down there in near the Hudson landfill, it was looks like there's some activity down there.
Interesting how it
All
gets there.
the water runs east to west, even underground. It heads for the river.
Yep.
So this goes to show.
All right.
Have they got tested around the Manchester airport at all?
Eventually they probably will. Then,
It's east-west.
yeah.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
Selectmen reports, Mr. Lynch.
Nothing to say. Everything's good.
I sat in planning board for you.
Yes, you
were
did.
out that
Thank you.
evening,
Thank you.
and we had a nice presentation from the LMS robotics teams. And other than that, we just worked on the
The new
master
rules.
plan for transportation.
Good.
Still there?
Budget committee's going full bore right now. At least long hours and every week, and getting through the budget. Right now we're in the school budget, so
God bless
a
you.
couple more weeks we'll be done. Maybe.
We'll see.
Nope. Other than that,
Okay, we had no items removed from consent. We did have one other item of business. Mr. Larry wanted to read a letter from the Women's Club.
yeah, the women's club, after years and years of being in town and doing a lot of good for a lot of different people, they've decided to disband, which is sad.
Yeah.
They got all their money through fundraising efforts, and now other groups have started doing those fundraising efforts, and they no longer have a source of income, and so they're closing down. And this is a letter from the GMS school counselor, Jocelyn Robinson. It's Dear Litchfield Board of Selectmen. Earlier this week, I was approached by a staff member about the fact that the Litchfield Women's Club was disbanding, and the loss of that will be to the community of Litchfield. I wanted to take a moment to recognize the outstanding contribution that the Litchfield Women's Club has made to this town. As the school counselor at Griffin Memorial School, I have worked with the Litchfield Women's Club for the past 6+ years. I cannot overemphasize what the Litchfield Women's Club have done, mostly behind the scenes, for some of Litchfield's neediest families. While Litchfield has excellent resources for families, including the welfare department and the Litchfield Food Pantry, there are things that come up that are not able to be addressed by other organizations. My connection to the Litchfield Women's Club has been Lori Martin, a district employee who has been a long-standing LWC member. As families contacted me with needs such as emergency car repairs, fuel oil, and even money to buy food, I have always been able to pick up the phone and call Lori, who has contacted the other members. With a vote, they have supported these needs and provided me with the funding to pay for breaks, heating oil, gift cards for supermarkets, etc. Usually this is done in less than 24 hours and has been appreciated by numerous families. Along with helping others with urgent needs, the Litchfield Women's Club has been tremendously generous during the holidays. Each year, they adopt a family at GMS, anonymously providing that family with a complete food Christmas, including gifts, toys for not only the children, but also the adults, as well as food. These adults, parents, and our guardians are often overwhelmed with the generosity of the LWC. The LWC does this yearly for multiple families at each of the schools in town. I have recently found out that the Women's Club is responsible for a multitude of other generous acts within the community, many of which others wouldn't know about, as they do not tend to advertise all they have done to help others. Their quiet, behind-the-scenes work has helped make Litchfield a caring and better place. The Women's Club will be sorely missed. I am extremely thankful for their ongoing support and their contribution to Litchfield's residents. Sincerely, Jocelyn Robinson, GMS School Counselor.
So it's too bad. Is there a way to tie Health and Human Services funding into that to help keep them going?
No.
You know, we appropriated 25, we're spending 15. I mean, are they a type of agency? Because, you know, I think the whole breadth of what we were trying to do there is impact families that use these resources within town. Well, we just clearly found a resource that's disbanding that families were using. Is there any way of having them as part of it? Because if their mechanism, the reason if they're closing is the mechanism of fundraising is down, is this a way to help offset that and keep them doing the good they're doing for our residents? It's always nice to be able to help the under-resourced people in town.
I mean, yeah, I shouldn't say that, no, because if they're providing, again, you got to link. One of the things our committee sort of struggled with is we were trying to make a determination of this agency's primary purpose and helps reduce the cost of public services. It takes a burden off public services that we're required to provide to residents through our general assistance program. State law says that we shall assist when people are in need for certain things. So, and we also looked at, well, does this help reduce some of the costs associated with and help prevent some of the costs in the police department, the fire department? So, you know, these groups that are out there advocating for younger children that are in need. We look at it. So yeah, the Women's Club could possibly be a candidate if they're out there saying, hey, we're helping residents repair their heating system, their cars, keep them working, food, clothing.
And as I understand it, a lot of times these are people that don't actually go out and physically ask for assistance. They just get wind of it and they do it. So it's,
if there's something we can do there to help them get funded to help these under-resourced individuals in town, that'd be fantastic. I don't know if the next step would be to go do it, but could you reach out to the Litchfield Women's Club?
I can, yeah.
And investigate, because it'd be great to be able to keep them going so they can keep doing the good in town. You know, we hate to lose a resource like that.
Right.
I'm sure Lori Martin's watching.
It is a loss because I do know the club has done so much.
Yeah, I'd hate to see them
Okay,
go.
it's not just helping out the children, but they've done things cosmetically to the schools, land, stuff like that. They always do something.
That's a good group.
It's a great loss. I think if we could do anything to help them, let's try. Okay, talk to them, Troy.
Yeah, I'll talk.
especially with the monies we have left. And I mean, the direct reason was to try to help citizens and what services they were using.
What gets me about the whole thing is that you as a welfare director, okay, Troy, you don't get the calls like they sometimes get,
Right, exactly.
okay? And I think between the two of you, them and you, communicating, you find out what they get and what we get. Because it's one system. It's two divisions, but one system, okay? They're getting the same call that we're getting. See if there's anybody there to help them with the Women's Club. We get the call the other way for welfare,
Right.
okay?
And I, there are many times
Oh.
that I know there's a need.
Yep.
But because of the guidelines I need to follow, I'm not
I know.
able to assist.
Yep.
Whereas these other nonprofit organizations, so, they work under different rules of engagement, and they can actually provide better assistance for a real need than sometimes what I can do.
So if you could reach out to Litchfield Women's Club and then maybe get the committee back together and just have that conversation.
Just have a
It's
talk.
something we can do
Okay.
to assist. I'd really appreciate that.
Yep.
Okay, is there any
Okay.
number? You know?
What's that? Yeah.
Is there any?
Contact
Or do you have any
I'll get you the contact
Okay, all right.
info, yeah.
Thank you. So our next meetings are December 9th, 16th, and 23rd. So we're going to try to cram 3 meetings in. The 23rd, the highlight of that will be probably the swearing in of our new police chief.
Yeah.
Be the main reason.
You really do miss us.
Well, we
had a couple weeks off there due to holidays and so
Yeah.
forth, and we have a lot of business to get going because the next meeting after that won't be until middle of January.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big break that's off. So
I really think we're gonna get this next 3 meetings are gonna be important because budget committee is gonna start, okay? It's gonna get real difficult. Christmas Eve is just a thought, if we need to meet, okay?
23rd works.
Well, I was talking to Chairman Weber and we were talking out, what little bit of time we have left. So the critical action items of the board is wrapping up the warrant articles.
Mhm.
We need an estimate of year-end financials. And with that comes requests from departments for encumbrances. So year-end encumbrances, estimate of year-end finances first, because typically the practice of the board has been our best guess at year-end numbers will encumber funds, knowing that if at the end of the day they're not available, we unencumber them. It means,
Okay.
so those are the 3 big critical action items.
Can we get those numbers and comments in from the different departments? We'll have a better idea at the end of the year, us here too as well. In other words, how their budget is gonna look.
Yeah, so at your next meeting, when we come off Thanksgiving break, should have I'm sorry, the other item was the default budget.
Default, correct.
So we'll have the default budget, my estimated year-end numbers, and any departments, I'll get word out to them tomorrow about encumbrances. But encumbrances will probably hold off till December 23rd meeting.
Because we got to get through the
Yeah.
warrant articles. We have to vote on all those also.
Yeah. But
Warrants.
I'll introduce encumbrances to
Don't
you.
look bad.
The encumbrances will be introduced, sooner
Yep.
than later. Than way on the 23rd, than
Better
the first
feel.
time you've seen them.
We just need to get another meeting in there before the end of the year. So that's
Yeah.
why we have 3.
So I think what's going to happen is your first 2 meetings in December is going to be real work. The 23rd is going to be the changing of the guard.
Yeah.
Chief O'Brien retiring
It's a minor thing.
and
He's here already.
Captain Sergeant
He's here already.
becoming chief, and that will be
We'll give him a bigger
Swearing
hat
in,
and some
sir.
more pins.
So the only items we have left for tonight are 2 non-public sessions. The first is RSA 91A:3-2A, employee compensation. And the second will be under RSA 91A:3-2B, employee hiring. Do we have a motion?
Well, before we do that, so you guys have anything else you want to add?
Just the budget committee added a couple school budget review dates, so the town warrants might get pushed out a couple weeks.
We're good with
Might.
that.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you. Yeah, that might take a little
Forget about that.
load out of one meeting for us.
So we'll see. I mean, the school has been pushing back at us with don't spread it over too many nights, but
Yeah.
I think it's gonna take more than one night. It's a big budget.
It is.
So then that might push things off because, so Carrie had sent you, Troy, the updated one.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at that, that's what's proposed right now, but who knows?
'Tis the season to be jolly.
I'll tell you what. January is coming quickly.
Nikki,
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you for coming.
So do we have a
Thank you very
motion
much.
for non-public?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn to non-public.
Motion, roll call. Mr.
Aye.
Lynch?
Yes.
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 We are now in non-public. Thank you for watching. Everyone be safe and have a great week.
Happy Thanksgiving. folks.
Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.